Hi there, folks. My name's... what's a good cowboy name? John?
All of my settings are like completely...
Pleasure to see you there, cowpoke.
I'm Erick Baker, and I've lived in Tennessee my entire life. However, for the last decade, touring the world, I've only seen it passing by from a windshield. But finally, Tennessee is calling me back where I belong.
There's a place you've never been. It's right where you want to be.
I want to rediscover how great my home state is, and I want you to come with me.
Uncharted.
Watching TV here recently, I noticed how many times I heard the phrase horsepower. Truck commercials, boat commercials, ads for riding lawnmowers and power tools, even some household appliances. From what I could gather, other than getting you going and getting you grinning, the horsepower they were describing didn't seem to get me much more than a bigger price tag. And while I've been almost mindlessly obsessed with horsepower since my adolescence, as most boys tend to be, thinking back on it now, this isn't the kind of horsepower I first fell in love with. There's something truly magical about riding a horse. And for those of us who have no aspirations to leave our current lives and take up with the circus, it seems to me that horseback riding is one of those rare experiences in life where rather than clash with a wild animal, you collaborate with them instead. And in looking to my right and left to see nothing but the couch on either side of me, I decided that a good old-fashioned collaboration might be just what I needed to help me in my never-ending journey to rediscover my inner wild. I can remember the very first time I rode a horse, along with most every time I rode thereafter. The moments were powerful, earning them a permanent place in my memory, as well as my heart.
It's like Shoney's for horses.
I can remember the excitement and the exhilaration, along with the reins trembling in my hands, as I came to grips with the fact that it was my responsibility, for both my well-being as well as the horses, that I keep my composure and guide this magnificent beast.
Howdy, folks. My name's Erick. I'm a sheriff in these parts. This is me and my faithful steed, Trigger. Say hello. Oh, yeah. We're gonna go fast today, buddy. We are gonna go fast.
In many ways, including literal, riding a horse is a balancing act. It takes a firm hand and a gentle spirit. And while you start off concerned about whether the horse is listening to you, you quickly find yourself listening to him as well.
Howdy, folks. We just finished our morning session. And
How'd that go?
Amazing.
Did you
I
learn
actually
a lot?
swung up on the horse.
No way.
I did.
Okay, that is a first for a client, so that's impressive.
Yes. There's a lot about horses that I didn't know. Developing a relationship with Trigger here already, just a half day. What are you guys all about?
Well, and that is what we're about, is that you mentioned the word relationship.
Right.
And it's making a bond, between man and the horse, in our case, the cowboy or the cowgirl and the horse.
Right.
And, just really learning a whole lot about the cowboy history. And then, of course, we love to jump back to the whole ancient history, all the way back from the days of the Bible, that horses have been part of mankind. Each one of these horses has an incredible potential. But if you can't get it out of the horse, then he never really gets to develop into who he or she can be.
Totally.
In this case, we're talking about Trigger. Tell you something you probably don't know now that you've had a successful ride with him. He came to us as an 8-year-old who couldn't be ridden, and he had thrown everybody. And he successfully threw our boys, but they did not give up and worked through it. And now, you know, finding his full potential, he's one of the best horses we have on the ranch. And then you can also learn a lot about yourself, your temper, your patience, your stubbornness, your willingness, you know, all these different traits. It is the ultimate family building or team building experience or friend building experience because it forces you to have to be a new you.
Yeah.
And what would you have been like back then? And then just the peace and the serenity.
Man, y'all are doing an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
And I think Trigger and I are ready to hit the
Take
trail.
your next experience.
We
That's
are,
right.
we are.
We're
So
gonna
I'll
hit
let
the
you
trail.
get back to your hard work and we're
Thank
gonna
you.
hit the trail. Thank you so much. Oh, what do you say there, cowboy? Put her there, huh? I'm feeling like a cowboy.
You're looking good.
All because of you, man. Does this ever get old to you?
No, it really doesn't. Just being here and being, you know, involved in other people's lives and being able to show them a little part of my life.
Because you've grown up doing this, right? You said you got your first horse when you were how old?
My first horse I got when I was like 3, so yeah, horses have been my entire life.
What's special about what you guys do? And I mean, what's, I guess, a special connection with Tennessee?
Getting back to nature, understanding how people lived before cell phones and before cars and before technology and everything, and truly understanding how our nation was built and founded, and you know, understanding the concept of, you know, working a little bit, playing a little bit, and understanding the balance of the two. And Winston Churchill said that there's something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man. That statement is as true as it is, you know, today as it was when he said it.
You can come and get a physical workout, a spiritual workout. The food here is amazing.
Yeah, it's all, you know, fresh grown, home cooked, grind our own bread and make it, you know, fresh daily, and we truly do get our daily bread like the word talks
It's
about.
awesome, man. I think about the young people, you know, people your age that have grown up playing video games and whatnot, you know, trying to get them outside. How would you encourage them to get outside?
The fantasy world that they try to build and live in on the internet, there's one that's even bigger in the real world with tons of true adventure, tons of, you know, true, you know, exploring and understanding, you know, what the world is that you actually live in.
Yeah.
There's only one way to truly find out for yourself, and that's to be out there in it.
What a delight you are, man. This has been so much fun.
We got a long road back home.
That's right. Let's do it, man. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it, man.
My time here at the ranch has been enlightening and exhausting all at once, reminding me that often the best memories in life are those you work for the hardest. I think it's safe to say that few folks understand hard work more than the members of our military. For these men and women, work means warfare, and human life hangs in the balance, meaning each day is driven, if not defined, by the duties that have been delegated. And a mentality like that isn't meant to be turned off easily, whether it be at the end of a long tour or a long recovery from an injury sustained in the line of duty.
Therapeutic riding is what we always have done. Guys with PTSD, it's the last thing they want to do is engage with anyone. And so they would just hole up in their houses until we could find someone else who knew them and then, you know, invite them out, get them to come out. They're afraid they're going to come into a place and everyone's going to, and it's like, no, you come in here and it's like, okay, roll up your sleeves, let's get going because we're working.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I think that these guys, and I glump it as guys, but there are women, we do have women veterans too, is trust. They have lost their trust, whether it be that they're safe or in other people, or that they're not going to do something embarrassing.
So how many volunteers, and I mean, just to talk about all these amazing people that are...
In our general program, we have about 400.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is the volunteer state. I mean, people are just phenomenal in Tennessee, and they will come out and help. We have a number of schools in the area that require service hours, but then once they come out and do their service hours, they're hooked. As you saw in one lesson, you could have 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 volunteers needed. That's a lot of people.
So the volunteers are getting a lot out of it too.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many people we have had that have chosen professional paths based on what they have encountered. They'll go away to school and they'll become physical therapists or occupational therapists, special ed teacher, counselor, I mean, all these things, and they'll come back, and that's what just really charges my batteries, and they'll say, because of what I did here, I am now
Totally.
Yeah, and that's inspiring.
You know, you hear horsepower, but this is horsepower in a totally different way. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a joy. So you groom first and then ride?
We do the grooming, that's part of the therapy.
Yeah.
You know, it helps with both of us.
Yeah.
You know, it calms us down, helps us to bond. It's just soothing is the best word I can use to describe it. It's just soothing.
Yeah.
So it helps me. It keeps him clean and groomed and pretty.
Yeah.
And
it grooms your soul, right?
Right.
So how long have you been coming here?
About a year, maybe a little over a year. I can't wait for Fridays.
So did you work with horses before coming here?
Nope. Did 24 years in the military.
Wow.
So, been pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
This program, between it and my service dog, it saved my life.
Wow.
In actuality, there's an incredible power in having purpose. And as the folks of the Shangri-La Therapeutic Academy of Riding have discovered, sometimes learning how to help an animal find their way can help you find your way in the process. Much like my first memories of riding, today is not a day I'll soon forget. It's reminded me that I stand to give a lot to those who've given so much, as well as push me to look a little further down the trail and take on the tough terrain I see off in the distance.
$2 hours a week. How much of a difference that can make in somebody's life. Breathe it in, folks. What's that smell? It's a pack trip. We're in Big South Fork, and we are heading into the wilderness for 2 days on the trail. It's a beautiful morning. Getting ready.
While my rediscovery of horses has taken me on quite a journey, both through my past as well as my potential, my experience has been fairly metaphorical thus far. I've often gotten caught up in a good cowboy classic and daydreamed about taking trips similar to theirs. I've even more often wondered if I was truly up to the task, because it's one thing to ride a horse, and another thing entirely to do it all day, day after day, emerging from a tent each morning to cook your coffee over campfire.
All right, folks, every journey needs a destination. Big South Fork, this destination's pretty spectacular.
Still, as we pressed further into the lush valleys and gorges that make up Big South Fork, I realized that while we weren't truly lost, I was getting lost all the same.
First part of the journey was going up, now we're going down, headed to our campsite. Tent's going up, got our chairs up. We just had an awesome lunch, one of the best ham sandwiches I've ever had. And if you listen closely, the sound of running water. I love it here, Big South Fork. There's days that take from you, and then there's days that give it back. And today's definitely a day that's giving me something back.
That's great. I'm glad you feel that.
You got a really, really big backyard right here. Tell me first how you got here.
We found this place canoeing the river in 1975, and the park was only formed in 74, so it was relatively new, and it was an experience that I had never had ever, because you could get lost in public land east of the Mississippi River without having to go out west to Colorado and Wyoming, where you think that's where you got to go to experience something like what we offer here. We had the whole place to ourselves. I tell people, God made Big South Fork for me, the rest of you just get to visit.
Right.
And that's kind of how you feel about it, but it tickles me after all these years to see you all and other people, my customers, come and enjoy just a little bit of what Big South Fork has, because it has so much to offer. It's just not horseback riding. It's an outdoor recreation area, and it's very user-friendly, whether you're a hiker, a bicyclist, or a canoer, kayaker, or a horseback rider.
Why call you up and experience it for the first time in the saddle?
The cost of owning a horse and then having the time to ride the horse once you buy him, it's not feasible for people. You get the experience without having the daily expense. We keep these horses rideable for 364 days a year, so you can come up here on a whim and have us have a horse sitting there waiting for you. But we've got some good, gentle horses. They're used to the terrain.
And it's young and old alike, right? I mean, that can...
Oh yeah, it's turned into custom stuff. Like whoever calls me, it's about their family. You tell me what you want to do. What would you like to eat? Where do you want to go? How tough do you want it?
What is it that people who've never been on a horse are missing?
They might not understand it the first time, but if you spend as much time around these guys as I do, I wake up with them every morning and have some of them for 20 years and some of them even more than that. You're responsible for them just like you are your riders that are getting ready to come ride. And what you experience today, getting up front, out there with nobody except nature and the birds are singing. There's nothing like that solitude right there, just you and that horse looking out across his ears there. I've gotten an opportunity to ride how many horses over the last 30 years here at Big South Fork. I don't have to look far when I get up and look at my house out to see what I need to be doing. Mm-hmm. You see the horses standing out there and you've got something, a reason to get up. Yeah, you got something to get, and it's not your life, it's theirs.
All the years and all the experiences, you have one that really stands out, just that, hey, this is the reason I'm here.
You make memories here. You just don't ride a horse. That's what people are telling me. You've made a memory that will last forever. And it's something that if you hadn't done it before and had that much fun, you may never ever do it again. I'm addicted to Big South Fork and have been for a long time because it's such a fine place and you can totally get away from everybody and not be far from Knoxville or Nashville or Louisville.
Thanks for sharing, man.
Thanks for coming, man.
This is opening the door for us to Big South Fork, man.
We've done that to a lot of people. It's changed a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people don't know Big South Fork is here. But man, it's such a great place to come. The nature and what's here and us enjoying it because it belongs to all of us. Just halfway through the trip.
Yeah, that's right. Now we're gonna get rained on?
It's angels crying on us, man, because they're so happy.
It takes a lot of hard work to make a day like today possible. From the horses and mules to the guides making sure we get a good meal. But it takes a lot of hard work to make sure that a day like today is sustainable as well. years back, the folks of the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency faced this very challenge. As traffic on trails increased, they watched as more and more of those trails made their way off in the tire treads and horseshoes of the users who were enjoying them. But rather than give up or put a gate up, these wilderness warriors rolled their sleeves up and set out to not only revitalize the trails, but maintain them for continued use.
We're in Scott County in the Bull Creek drainage of North Cumberland WMA. It's called the New River Unit.
Okay.
And we're working on ATV trails here. We're not building new trails, we're fixing trails that are here.
Okay, and making it better,
Making
right?
it better,
that's
trying to
what-
make
yeah.
it more environmental. That's our goal. It's not revenue driven. We do bring in revenues, but it's more environmental. We're armoring the creek here so that as ATVs cross it, it'll allow less silt to go in the stream, which helps invertebrates and fishes in the stream and downstream in the rivers that it goes to.
Right.
Helps their reproduction cycles and life cycles. We're not looking for the challenge side of it. We're not having big, just all kinds of hill climbs everywhere. We're trying to have a scenic trail you can pedal through the mountains and maybe see some wildlife, or hunters that want to use these areas are open to hunting.
So I keep hearing multi-use, and that being a unique aspect of this place.
Right.
When you say that, though, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it encompasses not just hunting, fishing, ATV riding, but horseback riders, bicyclers, hikers, and other folks that want to come here and look around at nature, bird watch, whatever, ride their bikes. They've made the high impact permit because people were riding here for free. They were basically carrying the mountain away in their tire tracks, and they weren't paying a dime. So everything we do is funded through license sales, permit sales.
So if you love the outdoors and you love wildlife, buy a license, right? Even if you're a hunter or not, buy a license.
To offset the many materials and the many, many man-hours, the agency introduced a high-impact permit for folks enjoying certain trails, be it by hooves, off-highway vehicles, or huffy mountain bikes alike. And considering how much I've taken with me physically, emotionally, and spiritually each trip I've made down a trail, I'm happy to do whatever I can to make sure that there are still trails to enjoy for years to come.
It's getting steep up here. Man, Rusty and this bunch are letting me drive all these things. They're very brave. I'm a big fan.
Back at our camp in Big South Fork, the crew and I awoke our second morning to the soft sounds of the river beside us and the smell of breakfast over the fire. They were simple but significant pleasures all at the same time, and very soon they had me eagerly looking forward to getting back in the saddle. And while the saddlebags would be a little leaner on the trip out, I knew I was packing out much more than I'd come with.
I needed this, that nice change of perspective, I getting too caught up with things. That's the beauty of this. You get to say goodbye to the traffic and the stress and the stoplights, and
I think everybody needs to get to do that, Eric.
yeah.
This is good for everybody, even if it's just for a day or two. Our life is so hectic that we need this in our life, and so many people get so busy they forget what life is about and what's worth living.
Yeah.
And this is what it's about.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we can make a difference in today, I think, is our youth.
Yeah.
And you need to start them early before they get oriented to the bad stuff. Let them know what the good stuff is, and they'll never forget this experience coming out here like this.
Well, you said the good stuff, man. Thank you for showing it to us. Big South Fork.
It's God's country. I'm just utilizing, like I said last night, a little more than everybody else, but it's here for everybody. There's so many people don't know we're here, and we're a little off the grid, but once you find it, you'll want to come back, I promise.
Absolutely, man. Won't be the last time you see me.
Thank you, Eric.
I really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
We find ourselves living these days in a high-powered world, where most of our briefcases and handbags are filled with at least one, if not 2 or 3, devices dedicated to delivering as much instant gratification as possible. It's a potent drug, that kind of power, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself burning through all the pleasures that come your way, constantly searching for that next souped-up sensation. But if we're being honest, the best adventures that await us are those within ourselves. There's no greater wide open space than the fields and forests that stretch across your mind. It's a country that remains uncharted, regardless of how many times you dive in and explore it. For some, the finest form of transportation through those internal and untamed spaces will be a fishing boat or a tree stand, maybe even a rock face or a roaring river. But for me and this journey, all it took was a whole lot of good old-fashioned horsepower.